Practice will make you good at pretty much anything, and I got very good at catching falling objects, things that I dropped from my hands, because I've dropped a lot of things from my hands. It was one of the first symptoms in my midlife, which brought attention to the fact that maybe I had something wrong with me. What happened was, I was working as the manager of a fine dining restaurant in Donnybrook in Dublin, and we were having a very quiet lunch, and we had this old couple in, and they were having a glass of champagne with their lunch, which is not uncommon. It's a wealthy class of customer that we had, and I knew how to look after them. And so I was bringing the champagne to the lady on a tray, and I was taking the glass off and put it down in front of the lady, and then next thing, the champagne was all over the table and the lady. Big mess. Didn't do it. It wasn't me. I don't do things like that. I don't make such silly mistakes. So who was it then? Well, I guess it was the alien that is MS. And over the years, directly following that incident, I went on to drop an awful lot of things. I broke many plates and glasses and mugs and cups and you name it, until I stopped handling anything that is breakable. And I switched to metal and plastic, unbreakable if they fall, which with me they would inevitably fall. But having said that, I don't really drop things anymore. It's much rarer that I drop anything now. Other members of my family, just in normal situation, normal life, they drop things more than I do. I pretty much never drop anything because I'm so aware and alert to it. But by dropping so many things, when I do drop something now, chances are, let's say 80%, very high chances, that I'll catch it as it falls. So if I'm carrying it in this hand and it suddenly chick falls, well, I might get that before it hits the ground, my other hand. And I'm thinking about the ways that you know if something has fallen from your hand or not. There's the visual. It's in front of you and it falls, you see it happening. There's the auditory, what you hear. You'll certainly hear it when it hits the ground, but the process of falling itself, maybe there's some noise that can be. And then there's sensory, that you feel it, you feel the grip, and you feel it leaving your hand. But for me, it was the sensory input was the problem. I couldn't feel it, obviously. And so if it were to fall like that from me or from anybody, I don't think anyone would much have a chance of catching it. It's like your hand is being sedated and you can't feel it, and you don't know if there's something in your hand or not. That's what MS is like, sensitivity issues. If I can see it, it's definitely the easiest. If I'm looking over there and it's over here and it falls, well, well, I do have the sensory input working properly these days most of the time, so I would have that input. Yeah, I feel it, and that's how I catch it. I would say 50% of the time that I drop something, now I know that it's gone by sensory, and 50% I know by visual. I'm seeing it falling, or I just know that it fell. And like I say, about 80% of the time, then I will catch that item again. Unless it's a knife. No, I don't catch falling knives. I've seen people do that. I've always known that if your knife falls, you let it go, or similar dangerous objects. Just some things you don't try and catch. But if it's a cup or a glass or a plate or something, go for it. Because it's only by trying and failing and trying again and failing again and repeat that you will achieve it and that you'll be able to do it. I learned this from playing tennis, that I've always remarked how some shots could have been achieved if the player was of the other hand, the opposing hand, and I was always determined to learn to play with my opposing hand, and only by persistence and not by being afraid to look stupid and foolish did I achieve that. And I did look very stupid, and I did look very foolish as I swapped hands. This is my dominant hand playing tennis, and then occasionally I will go with the other hand, boom, boom, playing tennis. And it was a big failure at the beginning. Like, I was just like, you might as well have strapped a floppy dead fish onto my wrist and strapped the tennis racket onto that and waved my hand around. It was pretty much like that. What I learned, really, the simple way to do it is just to make sure you have a very strong, steady grip. You're not going to have accuracy as you would with your dominant hands, but you're swinging it like a dumb bat. And again, 80% of the time, I'll get it over the net, back into play. Sometimes not, but practice makes better. We know that, right? And it really does. So I have a rare skill, probably not amongst some certain class of waiters and competitions that they likely do challenges, but it's an unlikely skill that I've developed, catching falling objects. But like I said, I don't tend to do them much anymore. But towards the end, when I was dropping them still, yeah, there was a lot of catching. It was very satisfying. It was obviously frustrating that you've dropped something, but instant later, that's erased by the satisfaction of just catching it, and not being beaten by falling objects. Sometimes I get lucky and a glass will fall now, because I do drink from glasses again. And it's bounced, bounce. I'm a lucky guy. Practice. Every skill and any skill, practice. Try it out at least. Everybody fails at the beginning, but that is the secret. That is the secret. As put in words by Sam Beckett. Ever try? Ever fail? try again, fail again, fail better, and keep going.